you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you're joining me from. I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Accept my greeting according to your time zone. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You can be among the first to receive it. Then go to the comment section at all time. Leave your comment, drop your contribution. If you have suggestions, make it out there. If you have any criticism, put it down on the comment section. It will make us to get better, presenting you a better program.
Issues. I'm being joined by Mr. Garba Shehu, the President's Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, who joins us from in Abuja virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Shehu, and happy victory celebration to you.
Yes. And you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed. It could be on a lighter note, but seriously also, because I know in the last 48 hours or so, there's been a back and forth between the government and the governor of Benue State and the villa. So when the president said, if I had offended you, forgive me, does this include the governor of Benue State?
The president of Nigeria does not have ill will towards anyone. This is clearly demonstrated over the years by his actions. As we speak today, there is no politician in detention for things that they have said against President Muhammadu Buhari. There is no journalist in detention for things that they have written or said against President Muhammadu Buhari. So Muhammadu Buhari does not personally hold grudges against individuals. He's a very forgiving person, and this is why he maintains a steady, stable health. He goes to bed with nothing against anyone on his mind, and he sleeps very soundly.
Why does he think that he has offended people? Perhaps his critics would have said, okay, you came to office on a tripod of promise to fix the economy, end insecurity in Nigeria, and of course, fight corruption. If it's based on those policies, maybe that's one reason they may hold a grievance on him or with him, and perhaps thinking, as the president delivered on the promises that he made to Nigerians, now that he knows he has just about 40 days to leave office, does the president feel that in some way there may have been some shortcomings in the delivery of his promises to Nigerians?
Two things, Sheung, I would like to say. One is that, yes, the president asked for pardon from those he may have offended, but it's clear that there was no personal or specific admission of wrongdoing on his part. And two, I think we should not take the speech out of the context in which it was made. This essentially was a religious get-together. Occasions like this, and I believe it is in all the scriptures, prayers are always said for the victim and the abuser. It happens. And for those coming from the background of Islamic religious faith, responsibility means more than what it ordinarily does to a number of people. As President and Commander-in-Chief, the President has a responsibility, that's the Islamic law, for everything that happens in the country, daytime, nighttime, whatever season. In the same way as you, as the head of a family, you're responsible.
There seems to be some...
May not by, and the president may not by himself gone out to offend somebody. But all of the authorities that report to him, whether they are tax authorities or financial crimes authorities, in the conduct of their duty, they may cross some lines. As far as that context is concerned, President Muhammadu Buhari is equally liable, in fact, singly responsible for being head of state.
So, if you now look at it, Mr. Shehu, although the president and governors have the prerogative to give pardon and clemency, but I don't know if some of the Nigerians whom he's asking for their pardon, they will find it in their heart on a day like this to pardon the president. And let's put into context this time around the performance of President Buhari. I mean, Governor Otom might be very critical of this government, but the question is that many Nigerians have died under the watch of President Buhari, who in 2015 said that he will fight insecurity to his nails. And those who will say, in fact, things may have gotten worse under President Buhari's watch. This might be one of the reasons he's asking for forgiveness. But how much of forgiveness can some of those who have lost their siblings, their friends, their family members, will be able to give for that government who promised that it's going to secure their lives, but they find it difficult to live peacefully? How the people of Southern Kaduna today, they will tell you a story, a sad one, isn't it?
Well, let me say that I believe that Nigerians are large-hearted people. They will forgive the president. And my hope and wish is, let's not make this a conversation on Mr. Otom and his Benue. Now that the people of Benue have passed a judgment on his 8 years in office. Now, this is the beauty of democracy. The day of judgment is the day you go to the voter to ask for a new mandate. And the voter has the right to decline in a working democracy. And this is exactly what happened in Benue. So, as we said in our statement, if anybody wants to know who is responsible, who is chiefly responsible for all that had happened in Benue State, talk to the Benue people. That's all.
Well, that was just a premise to reference the insecurity situation in the country. And I'm saying that if you can only pass or fail in the area of insecurity that the president said he was going to fix, could this be a failure? One of the things that the president is asking for pardon for.
Well, if the event this morning was aired live, you probably would have seen religious leaders, Muslim and Christian, speak about how much difference the president has made to the fact that as a bishop, as a presiding bishop or imam, you cannot enter your place of worship, church or mosque, without being screened, for bombs or weapons that you may be taken into that place of worship. It was that bad. And they were thankful to the president that all of that has gone. And let me say that, looking at the overall picture of security in the country, yes, it is true that there are still flashes of insecurity that happen in a number of places. But if you look at the big picture, the overall picture, looking at where we were coming from, where there was a total loss of control, where this country had been divided into two, with a section of it declared of a republic of some sorts, with their flag, with their system of administration, taxation, and all of that. Come on, we have come a long way. We've gone very, very far away from those situations. And it is not as if anyone is letting up. The president will work hard, will continue to do so until his last day in office on these matters.
Well, that is a naughty area that if we dwell on it, we might debate from now till tomorrow morning. But one area also that the president promised to really deal with is the area of the economy. But I wouldn't even want to go into some aspect of the economy, but I will go into the aspect that is a bit very worrisome, and it's also going to affect the issue of security. About half of our population are poor. The NBS statistics shows that we have about 82 million Nigerians living in poverty. In fact, another figure which is also staggering is the fact that about 150 million Nigerians are in multi-dimensional poverty. I mean, if a president were to come 8 years ago, and we're looking back now to assess, if the president is to graduate after an 8-year study, for someone who said he's got what it takes to fix the economy, and you are leaving 153 or so million Nigerians out of the 200 million in multidimensional poverty, I don't know how this government is going to rate or grade itself, or half of the population who cannot even afford $1 to feed a day. Isn't that embarrassing or perhaps disappointing for this government itself?
Well, I want you to reflect for a moment and to think. If the country had been governed in the last 8 years for another person, somebody other than President Muhammad Buhari, what would have been the situation? Given his background of strict discipline, almost a Spartan lifestyle, and consider the massive corruption we're coming from, years of PDP that we had inherited. Consider a situation in which this country, as we speak today, was without the massive agricultural program that has seen us exit importation of so many food items, including rice. Imagine what poverty would have been like if the infrastructure that had collapsed before we came in had continued to go in that same direction. Like you didn't have the second Niger bridge. You didn't have all of the massive projects going on, Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, the gas pipeline linking Ajakuta to Kano. And all of these infrastructure deficits, including power generation, which has today risen to nearly 20,000 or even more megawatts. These are jobs. This is welfare for Nigerian people. So yes.
What are the statistics saying otherwise? If you are referencing these, well, yes, we can see them. But the statistics by the MBS, that is probably controlled by the government itself, is giving figures that 3.3% of our Nigerians are unemployed. Mr. Shehu, these things that you're saying don't reflect in the figures.
Shehu, the crisis, cost of living crisis, is a global phenomenon. Nigerians need to just look beyond our shores and see how national economies are going into dissolution, liquidation. See what's happening to Kenya, to South Africa, to Ghana, all of these countries, and even Europe itself. And so therefore, there is a global crisis that has afflicted the entire, global economy. When COVID came, all nations of the world recessed in their economies, except perhaps China. And this has continued to be compounded by crisis in supply systems, again warranted by ongoing situation between Ukraine and Russia and all of that. So what am I saying? That everyone is managing a bad situation, and Nigeria is not doing badly in doing this.
Give me a moment, Mr. Shehu. Let me come to our Abuja studio here with China Television election consultant and political analyst, Mr. Jide Ojo. Thank you so much indeed for coming out, coming on the program on the day as this. I know you are gaily dressed, perhaps you visited a few friends for the celebration. But I mean, when you hear the president ask for forgiveness or saying, "Please pardon me," what comes to your mind?
I think he's expressing his humanity. He's a human being, like he said. He's a human being like you and I. And in the course of his action or inaction, he definitely will have stepped on toes. And he has chosen 38 days to the exit of his administration to plead for forgiveness. But he's not the only one. A few days ago, Governor Ganduje, Umar Ganduje of Kano State was the first to come out to say people of Kano should forgive him. He possibly has stepped on some toes. And it's normal and natural for politicians to do that. Even PDP, after 16 years of misgovernance, came out after the Ekweremadu report. I think it was Prince Uche Secondaries
in Abuja.
God bless you. So you can see that's a whole political party to say, look, Nigerians, forgive us. We have heard. We committed a lot of atrocities. We did things the way it should not be done. So it's in the way of politicians to seek forgiveness. And it is also in the ways of every human being who believes in a supreme God to seek forgiveness. After all, the Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven. So it's not out of place, but my own point of departure is, yes, there are actions and inactions. There are those actions that are force majeure. You cannot help. So things just have to happen the way they are. And there are those, somebody will say error of the mind, error of the heart. Let me put this in context. Mr. President, in putting Nigeria through the excruciating pains of Naira redesign, and people were complaining.
Is that forgivable?
It's not for Nigerians.
Because there are businesses that are no more.
God bless you.
Because of that policy.
And people were
warning.
People warned. People begged. People said, look, Mr. President, this isn't working. This is the eve of election. There are those who lost election in APC because of the president action. I said here on this platform, part of the reason Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu lost the election in Lagos was because of this excruciating pain. Recall that he himself came out, that they deliberately, of course, he may say he was quoted out of context, but he said they hoarded money, they hoarded fuel, but he will contest and win. Paraphrasing.
So, Joe, there were people who stripped themselves naked out of frustration in the banking hall. People had money, but they couldn't get access to it. Understandable reasons that the CBN gave, that to curb this, to do this and do that. But the question is that how would you make policies that will make life more miserable for the population, for the larger population?
And on top of it, February 8th, the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, said, look, I'm giving this order pending the determination of the merit of the case. Let status quo ante be maintained. The president, after that Supreme Court decision, addressed the nation and did a selective, application. Said, okay, 200 naira will be recirculated. The whole 200 naira will be recirculated for another 60 days, but for 500 naira, 1,000 naira. So I think the president at that point should have observed the rule of law, agree with the Supreme Court the justices, and allow. And you could see that even when the final determination came, I think was it March 25 or thereabout, the CBN governor was still waiting on the president. I think it's my elder brother, Garba Shehu, that threw Emefiele under the bus by saying he shouldn't be waiting on the president to implement the Supreme Court decision. But that is the story. People lost business.
That is one policy.
What about oil theft? What do you have to say about oil theft? A military general, a major general retired in this country, under him, Nigeria lost almost half of its daily oil production to crude oil theft.
Can that be is that pardonable?
I'm not judging.
No, you are the political analyst.
Well, I'm not judging the president. I'm only throwing the issue out there.
No, but the question is that, and the reason why I'm asking, if someone slaps you and is asking for forgiveness, it's up to you to know whether or not you are forgiven.
But in this respect, I can say, well, whatever it is, I forgive you, Mr. President. But those who are impacted most negatively, those who lost their means of livelihood, who lost their lives, who lost their businesses because of certain action and decision of the president, something that fall within his purview, would they want to easily forgive? The point is whether they even forgive or they don't forgive. There's little or nothing they can do about it. To err is human. You remember that when Bishop Kukah came out with that homily early in the year, the presidency disagreed vehemently with him, but the public, what he said resonated more with the public. Because, yes, one thing I must say is that Mr. President is not a sole administrator. Governance is of 3 arms and 3 tiers. We have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, and we have the federal, state, and local government. But like Malangaba Shehu said in his earlier comment, that the president is asking for forgiveness even on behalf of some of his appointees who has ministries, department, and
those
agencies.
who blame the president that he gives people responsibility without acting,
without proper oversight.
Is that pardonable?
Without what?
I'm asking rhetorical questions because we are dropping issues and policy decisions and style of leadership of the president. That look, it is a precedent. Anybody could come into office and say, after 8 years, I will ask for forgiveness and I will move on. It's not that easy because policy and decision of leaders have consequences on their lives. Look at how many Nigerians that have left this country because of hardship that they experience, because of the threats to their business, because of insecurity. So are those pardonable?
For me, no action is not pardonable. Everything is pardonable. And even if he didn't ask for forgiveness, many Nigerians are saying, we can't wait to let this man go. He said he's tired. He said he wants to go and rest. Let him go and rest. I read this, the published speech. Mr. President has been one of the luckiest, and he admitted earlier today that he's been one of the luckiest Nigeria. He has been everything anybody could aspire to be in life.
Minister, governor?
Minister,
President,
military administrator.
Yeah.
Way back in 1976, military administrator, Minister of Petroleum Resources, and he's under the same minister with all the experiences that we have, the highest level of oil theft
and the president who was also
is also the substantive minister of petroleum resources.
Mr. Jide Ojo, let's assume that the president is having a meal right now and is watching this program. What would you have to say to him? He's going to retire to Daura, but what would you tell him if there's anything that he can do within the next 30-something days?
38 days is still a long day. I know some people are lampooning him for the Federal Executive Council awarding trillions of contracts, every Wednesday. Government is a continuum. He has done so many good things. I must admit, I'm not here to cast aspersion on his person or on the presidency. The second Niger Bridge improvement on infrastructure and all of that still stands to his credit. In fact, there are so many vital laws, the Electoral Act 2022, the National Disability Act, the Petroleum Industry Act, the anti-corruption bills that is signed into law. Recently, I wrote in my column in The Punch about, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, assessing the constitutional alterations. And I said this president has scored a bullseye in amending or altering the Constitution. The highest number of alterations of the Constitution happened under the Buhari administration. 2018, five clauses, 5 sections were altered. 5 bills signed into law, not too young to run, and the rest of it. And in this 2023, 16 other alterations. This is, is the highest for any
So
president.
as he bows out, he's exiting, what would you like to say to him?
Well, what I would like to tell him is that, Mr. President, the last one month and 8 days left of you, make the best of it.
All right.
A lot can still be done in the 38 days that is left to impact positively. One thing I will score Mr. President low on is the tardiness in appointing people into positions. Look at the mess with former IGP extending his tenure, the former chief of CG of immigration.
Even the president IG, there is an issue. His birthday tenth.
Why is it that the president cannot find suitable replacement for people on time? Why do their tenure have to lapse and then he started looking for acting person?
So, Joe, thank you so much for your thought there. Let me allow Mr. Garba Shehu. We just have 60 seconds, but I'd like you to throw your final thought tonight. Is it possible that the president will erase some of the bad memories of these last 8 years from the minds of Nigerians? A lot of them that may not be happy with him, that may be so agitated at things that this government's 8 years was a total failure.
I don't know anyone who is saying, except for opposition political parties that ran in the last election, I don't know anyone saying that 8 years is a total failure. But government policies under President Muhammad Buhari are driven by the best of intentions, never driven by reasons of wickedness or ill will towards the national population. When you talked extensively on the currency exchange, a phenomenon, you obviously also ignore the fact that this is an administration that had launched a series of economic reform programs, one of which targeted the massive corruption that we inherited from the PDP years. And what it meant is that election should not be, this country had good elections, off-season elections from the time President Muhammad Buhari took power to now. And every assessment that had been made came to say that good election, good turnout, all of that. However, the influence of money has been a big issue. So what is wrong in saying, well, can we have Nigerians decide who to lead them away from the influence of money? That's just one thing. And see all of these things that about the kidnapping that people are talking about these days. When the currency thing was going on, did the kidnappers move against Nigerians? So these things also have their benefit.
And